nature's comfort. Ramraj presents bamboo cotton white shirts.
Your dream plot awaits for you at OMR, ECR, and GST with Nama Family Group.
South India's #1 travel brand. You know you are special when you're with GT Holidays.
Let's take ARG, right?
Yeah.
Now that is when you, how would you rate that movie today?
Rate, I don't know is the right word.
When I say rate, what I'm saying is you set out with an intention, right? I want
Okay,
to
see,
do
okay.
my take on Sholay. Was that the intention?
Yes.
I want to do my take on Sholay.
Correct.
So at some point, did you realize it was going wrong?
Yes. I realized it almost in the end stages. End stages means, let us say, 2 months before the release. By the time the film is shot.
Okay. So while the shooting was going on,
No, I didn't.
you were still true to your intention.
Yes.
You were.
And I put in more effort in ARG compared to Sarkar.
Okay.
Yeah. I see that because I was trying to reinvent the camera language. The kind of shots we were planning and everything was something unique for that time. Sarkar was pretty much, it was capturing the drama.
Right.
So, because the film is such a big disaster and been panned so much, even the camera work looks bad now.
So, can you give me an example of what you were trying to reinvent in terms of camera language?
See, my idea for ARG was how people saw films before, I wanted to shoot it in a completely different light.
Okay.
The first time we used probe lens and from Amitabh Bachchan's introduction, I shot for 4 days. I never take that much of time. Every shot was precision design. And then, which was like, if Bachchan is playing with an apple, throwing it like that, and we built a special rig where the camera is moving from the ball, going up and coming down and that. Those kind of things were never done, So I don't think people would have registered because the film, people got turned off in the first 5 minutes,
right.
I think, So the point is, then I'll quickly tell you what caused that. What did it cause? Sholay is my most favorite film in the Indian commercial space.
Yeah.
So I was called by Sasha Sippy, who was a grandson of GP Sippy, the original producer.
Yeah.
He offered me to make a sequel to Sholay. Yeah. And he told me, how to make sequel to Sholay? He says, because some characters have died in the film and some actors passed away, like Sanjeev Kumar and all that. He said, Gabbar Singh and Helen have sex after Mehbooba's song and they give birth to Junior Gabbar.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. And then Hema Malini and Dharmendra went off. Now they have 2 children. 2 grown-up children, obviously. Now Dharmendra and Hema Malini come to meet Jaya Bachchan. Okay, in this village. They're captured, kidnapped by Junior Gabbar. I know their sons come to rescue and this is broadly the story he told me. And then he told me we also have the character of Jackie Chan. So who's Jackie Chan? So I thought he was joking. He said, because Jackie Chan is the biggest brand in China, Hong Kong. Sholay is the biggest brand in India. So we can capture all the markets. That was his grand plan. So obviously I thought...
They wanted Jackie Chan in the movie?
Yeah. This is the proposal they gave me.
This looks more like a project than a movie.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Then obviously I said no, but I was coming back from there. I thought to myself, what can be done with Sholay? Then I thought of this one idea, which I think is fantastic even now. I thought of an idea which is like a very, very, successful industrialist. Now he set the whole thing up. He left it to his son, and now he's retired. He's in Pune and doing some farming and all that for his old days. And suddenly one day, the underworld, in some extortion related thing, they kill the son. So he built and everything. Now his son has been taken away by a random guy who shoots for money, a contract killer, working at the behest of a don who lives abroad somewhere, in Dubai or somewhere. So this man is old. He cannot do anything. But he's got the money and he's got the kind of a smartness, whatever you call. So he goes to search for a shooter of the company. And then he gives him an offer. See, you are not his brother, you are not his son. You do for money. And I will give much more money if you kill your boss. This was my initial thought for Ag, you know. And it's pretty much, if I did it with the sincerity of Satya, I believe even till today it will work. You know? But what did I do then? I was talking to my people, and suddenly this one publicity artist who heard about this idea, he came and showed me Amitabh Bachchan in Babban's role, which is a character's name. So I saw that and it was so unreal, and all the people around me, they said, fantastic, they said. You know, no, then I asked this guy, so it looks so unrelatable. Sir, at that time Gabbar Singh was a nobody. But now over the last 30-40 years, he's an icon, so he can't look normal.
Actually, that's very good logic.
Yeah, I know I'm being stupid to hear that.
But that logic is very good.
Logic is correct.
Yeah.
Then I took this picture and I showed it to Mr. Bachchan. He also said very good. You know, now he might have said that because he will assume that I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
He's an actor at the end of the day. I mean, an actor at the end of the day.
And he loves to experiment. So,
Experiment, and also he trusts me
Yeah.
because of Sarkar. Yeah. On the trust basis, he said, he didn't ask me too many questions. He just reacted to the picture because took it for granted I know what I'm doing. Okay. Now, once I took a decision on this, that created a chain reaction on everything, where I became like, kitne aadmi the, is what Gabbar said. And I thought that must be kitne. You know, I started interpreting and kind of rephrasing the lines of what my character would say in today's time if it is done in a city versus, say, a guy in the ravines or whatever. And then so slowly the film's emotion went out of my head and I was word to word, shot to shot interpreting Sholay and doing my version. That is why I call it gimmicky. You know?
And while you were doing this,
I thought I was doing a great thing. Yeah. Then I thought of this guy is so drunk on power, Amitabh Bachchan's character. So he's all the time just lying very lazily, you know, and he has a peculiar laughter which sounds like a cough, you know, and it's just like that, something like that he says, you know. Then when the film released, one very senior police officer, he saw the film and he called me and said, why is that guy with fever and cough? So I thought the cough, the laughter should sound like a cough. He thought of it as cough, the viewer, which is perfectly correct. And then the laid back thing is coughing, which means he's have fever. How can you introduce the main villain with fever and cough is what he asked me. So that's how wrong it can go. That's what I'm saying. So there are numerous examples like this. You know?
But this was fascinating. It was like to see how one idea can come to you, spark another idea.
Yeah.
Then you kind of get into this other zone.
Correct. So when I was telling individual scenes and individual moments, people loved it. Ajay Devgan loved it. You know, Sushmita Sen, Mohanlal, everyone. You know, but they all see it in parts in the way. They can't see a whole. Only I can see the whole.
That holistic thing we talked about.
Yeah. So in this whole process, the intensity of the emotion of the Sanjeev Kumar's character wanting to take revenge on what he has done to the family, that is gone out of my head. That is what the actual point of making the film. So I was doing all these surface corrections and surface polishing and surface beautifications, and I forgot what it's
soul
about.
or whatever it is.
What it's about. Yeah.
Right. Now, since you said Sholay was one of the attempts of yours to kind of redefine cinematography in this thing, I remember a shot in Shiva, I forget, there's a shot where he enters the classroom. Now, you could have just had Nagarjuna enter the classroom. That is, the frame of the doorway is there, the teacher is here, the students are there, Nagarjuna comes in. But here, there's a camera is following him. There's a long shot as in a long take of the camera following him as he climbs the stairs, walks a long corridor, goes somewhere, crosses this thing, and then goes into the classroom.
Yeah.
So I was like thinking, even at that time, that's a really interesting way to follow this guy from the back. Do you remember the shot?
Yeah, of course,
So you've always been very interested in camera work.
Yeah.
Like, can you tell me why you needed that bit in Shiva, for instance?
See, I thought on one, 'cause him being the central character, and I wanted to establish the geography of the entire thing.
Okay.
You know, so the fact that he goes the stairs in that long corridor and then goes in. So in the further things, when he is running, you more or less am introducing the location like a character in itself.
Right.
That is the reason I took that shot.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing about, like, when you talk about your successes or failures, is that this film literally put you on the map, Shiva. Even today, when like a friend of mine was telling me that even today when people discuss Nagarjuna's career, the two films that they talk about are Shiva and Gitanjali, which came roughly about, I think, the same time, right? It's like those are the two films that pretty much made Nagarjuna who he is today. So, do you have any feeling of ownership, or I did this right, or fondness towards those films, those early films that established you before Satya?
No, not really. See, I received when recently they restored Shiva, and I happened to go to see the quality, and the film pretty much didn't work for me at all.
Oh, it didn't?
No,
Okay.
I lost interest in the first 20 minutes. You know, that's because I felt it was too cinematic, which I did not feel in Satya. And second is, it is a very template. There's a hero, there's a heroine, there's a side characters, comedians, there is songs. There's nothing new in the context. It is shot new. The editing was very slick and things like that, and probably it was very real compared to what films were being made at that time. You know, so and I felt, because obviously I know so much about crime world, underworld, terrorism, and all that. So students having a scuffle, kind of a subject matter, it didn't interest me at all when I saw it recently.
Recently.
Yeah.
Okay. There is this line in your tweet where you say, after making a film, whether it is a hit or not,
Yeah.
I move on too obsessed with what's next to reflect and understand the beauty of what I myself created.
Yeah, correct.
So when that happens, you're literally saying that I forget about the earlier film.
Yeah. See, the moment the final mixing is over, it just moves out of my head.
Okay.
Not even the copy.
Okay.
Because I only can do whatever I can do till the final mix.
Right.
So that is the last thing I can do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that means what you're saying is you're no longer interested in how people respond to it, what box office it
No,
makes.
I might hear their opinions. That's it. But there's nothing. So I live on a constant sense of excitement. So the excitement will always be for what I'm going to do next, what I'm going to do now, than what I did already.
But at that point, see, now you're feeling there's a sense of regret because
correct.
from this, right? But at that point, has any film made you feel that sense of regret? Oh, I should have done that, or I could have made this better, or I could have shot the scene better, or something like that?
No, of course. I felt that about Company.
Right.
Like I said.
But
just
then
now,
that you saw this
that's
now,
it.
right? I'm talking about at that point.
At that point of time, no. Because see, more or less, unless I think it's perfect to my capacity, I wouldn't have released the film.
Right.
Yeah. So which means I think it is the best thing I did. Yeah.
Right. Do you think that somewhere, because you made so many gangster films close to each other, there was Connect, there was Company, after Company there was Connect, there was D, there was Sarkar, in the middle there was this
Ab Tak Chappan.
Ab Tak Chappan, which was, you produced that. Because of this number of Satya type, I'm not saying exactly like that, but that same type of genre, do you think that could have contributed to some kind of...
See, I think even if you make 100 films in the same genre, I mean, if all of them had the same heart, they'll all work.
They'll all work, yeah.
I'll give one example. Now, Robin Cook, the novelist, he wrote some 16 novels, all set in hospitals. Thrillers.
Yeah.
All of them worked.
Yeah.
You know? So I think it's
yeah.
about, in fact, on the contrary, I would, like if you take Francis Coppola, if he makes another mafia film, I think that has far more chances of being successful. You know, because when you like something about office something, you don't mind having lot of, of the same thing. That's what I
Variations.
believe. Yeah, in some variation will be there, which was there in all the films you mentioned.
Yeah. I'm saying that when in the middle of this, when there is a not a love story, or something else along those lines, do you think there is also a tendency of for you to kind of you're reaching to go back to that gangster genre?
So not really.
Okay.
See, I mean, definitely there is no doubt that I am mostly attracted to the dark side, sense with crime dramas or anything to do with high intensity, like not a love story. I was fascinated with the idea that they could be still there after cutting someone into pieces and sharing intimate moments. I was fascinated to capture that psyche.
Just for the
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite films of yours.
Okay.
I love that film.
Yeah.
It's so twisted.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah. So now coming to the genre of the gangster films, I probably am making another gangster film now. I decided. But what is a gangster film? Gangster film is nothing but you can make 100 love stories, you can make 100 crime dramas, but it is the characters, it is a situation, it is a setup you are dealing with which changes. But what I am planning now to do, I believe probably that will be my biggest film, not in terms of budget, not in terms of casting, but as an idea, I think it is going to be the biggest film. Yeah.
Again, part of your tweet, coming back to the hotel after the screening of Satya and sitting in the dark, I didn't understand why, with all my so called intelligence, I did not set this film as a benchmark for whatever I should do in the future. Don't you think you're being a little hard on yourself? Because if everybody knew what to do, then nobody will be a failure of.
But it's not about knowing what to do, it's about not having an intention. See, if you don't have for example, let us say, human advancement is about when somebody does something,
Right.
you should have a motivation to do something better than that.
Right.
Only that is which advances anything to do. See, we are all influenced by someone. I was heavily influenced by Steven Spielberg, for example. I was heavily influenced by various directors, Balchandar. So I want to do something as good or better. So that becomes a standard. Whether I made that film or someone else made the film is not important. So when I made Shiva, I was convinced I can make a better film than all the prevailing filmmakers. So that's also a standard which you set up for that. That I lost is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So when you entered the industry, you must have had some goal in mind, right? Was it just
See,
I want to make a successful
I
film?
believed in my heart. I didn't think of the word success. I thought I will make a shockingly different film compared to what is being made. I remember I told Nagarjuna, they were shooting for this film called Agni Parvatam, shot by Raghavendra Ravar. It's a very big budget film with a lot of action, Vijayan Master and all that. On that set, I told Nagarjuna, just in 2 hours with one guy is coming in a lane, someone stops him and from behind they hit him with a hockey stick, and then he's just beaten. The sound effects I'll be posting on the guy who's getting it done, and that will create more violence than all this 5-day shoot what you're doing now, I said. And I believed it. I believed it. Why? Because I have seen that effect even as a Telugu viewer. I saw that happening in Godfather. I saw that happening in various other films, including Hindi films also. So I thought the effect of what it stands for in realism, like what I experienced myself in my college and all that, I was reproducing that. Yeah. So I thought in comparison this will be far more effective. And I managed to communicate that to Nagarjuna and his brother and all the other people involved in Annapurna Studios. They also felt that. Otherwise, why would they give me the film?
Yeah. No, so I'm saying that is a short-term goal, right? That I want to make a shocking film. But you say that what is that phrase? Objectiveless journey?
Objectless destination.
Destination. So at that point, when you looked at it, say, did you have a 10-year plan or like, I want to be like this director?
I never ever. See, I actually I was trying to come into the industry to make Ratri. So that was the film actually I wanted to make. But because it was like with no pulling actor and that kind of a genre, nobody knew how it will do.
Right.
And the reason why I made Shiva was to get that name so that I can make Rath. So, in other words, I always made films what excited me. Like, not a love story is something nobody in my position would make.
Yeah.
Like a small murder story set in one apartment mostly and things like that. But I get fascinated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, whether it is something the scope of a company or a satya, I also am fascinated with not a love story as much.
Now, in your career, you have, of course, worked with the Bachchans and stars and like
Yeah.
Amir and all that. So there's not that. But about 75% of the films that you've made are with lower wattage
Yeah.
stars.
Correct.
And this is usually not there because whenever a director attains a particular stature or they get a power, you have your own
Yeah.
company, it's called factory, you have like so many
Yeah.
people. What happens is typically stars starts approaching them and say, like, let's make this movie, let's make that movie. Had you made movies with stars, because of the star's image, do you think there would have been more of a sense of responsibility towards what you were doing?
See, actually, the reverse is true. The most expensive films, the biggest star cast assembled, they are the biggest flops of my career.
Okay.
If you look at Department, you look at Aag, you know, two, three other things I don't remember. And I made Rangila, Amir was not at a high. Amir had a lot of failures. Urmila was in negative. Jackie was just like a character actor at that time. Or Sarkar. Now, Amitabh Bachchan, I was a fan of right from. It was on reasons I came into films.
Yeah.
And the kind of realistic and intense acting is hardly anybody. I mean, I can't imagine Sarkar without Amitabh Bachchan. In company, I would take Ajay because I don't want to build up his image in the screenplay. I'll take it for granted Mallikes. So I have time to build up Chandu's character, which is the reason I cast a new guy like Vivek.
Yeah.
So I will have those reasons somewhere in my mind when I do my casting decisions. Yeah.
The most emotional part of your tweet was, I cried in guilt for my betrayals of those who trusted me due to Satya.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the audience?
No, not the audience. I trust. I'm thinking could be actors, could be technicians, could be investors sometimes, and yeah, not the audience. See, the audience will take about 100 rupees ticket and 2 hours, and where they can leave anytime. They're the last, and so because of what I built up in the movies like Satya and Rangila, a lot of people would trust me.
Yeah.
That I know, and they're putting their careers. Like Amitabh Bachchan put his reputation at stake because he agreed to do RGB Ki Aag.
Yeah.
And the fact that film became a laughing stock and all that, and the reason is me, not him. So I would feel guilty that I made him go through that. Yeah, same thing with Ajay Devgan or whoever it is. Yeah.
But why did these stars keep coming back to you?
But that is what I'm saying. See, Mr. Bachchan, for example, many times he says, no matter what, I will always work with Rajiv with one. Because he sees the sincerity in me. See, when a film fails, people generally tend to think either the director is lost it, or he probably is lazy, probably it didn't work enough, probably he's become whatever. All the negative traits they will think of where the film failed. But Mr. Bachchan, because he's on the set, he's seen me working, he's seen me discuss. He doesn't think any of these are the reason. You know, which is the reason his respect for me as a filmmaker, it still remains because of that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So when I'd like you to explain the word arrogance, because is it something you're finding that you are arrogant in hindsight now that you're looking back, or
Yeah.
even then you felt you were?
See, arrogance is nothing but taking it for granted. I know what's good.
Okay.
No one can tell me what's good. You know, to put a checkpoint on yourself, whether what you're saying is it going little, I mean, maybe not working the way you're thinking, to check and double check with others is what you're trying to remain on the ground, you know. But when you take it for granted, only I know what is good. Right. I know what is right, you know, because I've done this, done that. That creeps into you. That is what is arrogance.
But isn't there a check in a let's say you're making one movie that doesn't work, that's fine. You're making two movies that don't work, that's
Yeah.
fine. But when you're having a third movie that's a flop, or a fourth movie, or a fifth movie, when a series of movies just don't find the audience, that doesn't that become a kind of a check for you? saying that, okay, now I need to introspect and see what's going wrong?
No, because I think, see, because you will always have reasons other than what you did for a film's failing. Many times you see that in filmmakers, when post their film failing, they will come with something which is absolutely not related to why the audience have not liked. Because see, this happens with governments, this happens with political parties who lose, and happens in any business. What the real cause is and what they will want to believe is the cause, they never really match in a sense of the word. Even for a second, if I believe, okay, it's the reason it went, the second film when you are making, that will still have that. There the danger is, once you start listening, that also can affect your conviction. See, no if you have 5 people, you ask them an opinion, 5 people will give 5 different things. Eventually you have to take the call. For example, when in Rakta Charitra, first time I used my voiceover, I was not very sure whether it was working or not. Different people are telling me different things. And one popular director, asked him, tell me frankly, is this voiceover working? He said, sir, I think only you know it. That is a very incredible line. See, only you know it is a question of conviction. But conviction and mental block are very closely related. It's only the, what do you call, the result which will make you understand whether it was a mental block or a conviction. If it works, he was convinced, man. He had a vision. If it doesn't work, he had a mental block, no matter how many times he told, he didn't listen, he was blind.
Right.
So that's always a very, very this kind of a question. But like I said, whether it's a flop or a hit, you only kind of get affected 2-3 days, not more than that. After that, you have to move on to do whatever you have to do. The next morning, you wake up.
Right. Right. No, but
So
Ramu, what?
even then, see, many films might have failed, but the point is not about the how many number of films fail. Then because of that, if I have to be careful, is not that, not this here. Then am I listening to others? What is my checkpoint? My checkpoint, what I said, just to take a look at your films which have been tremendously liked by the audience, to see that is the only checkpoint, not listening to others. For example, one guy told me recently, sir, your camera angles are looking very predictable. You know,
That is of today's films. The films you're making
yeah,
now.
yeah, correct.
Okay.
And if I want to take that seriously as a critic, as a criticism, now I put a camera angle on what I feel at that spot on the location and in the context of the scene or how I want to do it. Now if I remember this guy who said, oh, camera angles are getting predictable, I can't deliberately change just because what is my instinct, I want to change it, which means it's not me anymore. That is what will come under losing your conviction. Those kind of things don't make a difference. See, for example, when someone tell me this is like recently I was telling a story. I said, people might not understand, he said, one guy. Now to explain that to in the way you can understand takes away too much screen time. And I thought even if you don't understand, it's okay. It doesn't make a difference, because it's not necessary people understand every bit of a film. That is just a fallacy. So I will take some things like that also. But then tomorrow, for some reason, the film releases and the film bombs, and a lot of people say, they didn't understand what that is, and then you will say, I told you. So if I remember that, does that mean that the next time everyone tells everything, if I have to incorporate, that doesn't really come under being humble. It comes under you losing your own, way of filmmaking.
No, because the way I was thinking of it is as a general, not just filmmaking, but as a general lesson to everybody. Let's say we want to get from point A to point B, right? We try this, method 1, it fails. If we try method 2, it fails. We try method 3, it fails. Then we automatically sit down and say, okay, what am I doing that's wrong? What is it that's not working? Which is something that many people would do. I'm asking, have you ever done that?
But no, that's one point. What is not working, as a science it can't be put, because every film is different.
As instinct.
So even instinct, I am saying, even it is an instinct, only way it can happen is if what is your natural idea. Like, you know, for example, a director has made so many hit films, suddenly he makes 2-3 flop films in a row. I don't think he changed.
Yeah.
I don't think the audience changed either. So now that is what he believed, and it worked for a long time, and the same belief is now failing him. So the a film failing's reasons, it is very difficult to, I mean, really know. See, the critics might say something, but lots of times the critics pan a film and picks some blockbuster, or the other way around, you know. And when I make a film, like for example, Rangila was seen by someone close to me, and they thought there's no way it can work. Amir thought at a certain time, because there's no conflict in the film. Or like I remember Hum Aapke Kaun, Suraj Bharyatya told me, the one day before the release, one very famous critic, who happens to be a friend, she told him that it's a big flop, and she consoled him that you have to prepare for a disaster. Those stories happen all the time, you know. Like for example, in Shiva, one of my assistants asked me, if Amla is kidnapped and they're taken, they stops at a rail track, and the rail is going, and then on the other side Nagarjuna is waiting, and then he comes and says some things and he takes her, you know. Now my assistant asked me, is this happening in a city? I said, yeah. Then Bhavani and Shiva are living in the same city, yes. Okay, now in a city, a rail crossing, this car came and stopped. Nagarjuna is standing in a formation there. Slowly is coming, walking, talking. All this time there is not a single vehicle on the other side or this side. How can that happen? Logically, absolutely, it is correct, you know. And I told him, see, with an Alfred Hitchcock line, where drama begins, logic ends, and people are interested, because you're on location, you're thinking of a practical thing, because you know the police are stopping the vehicles on that side and this side, you know. So you take such liberties lots of times. Like one of the things in Rangila, you know. Now, the premiere happens in the night, Jackie Shroff and Urmila are watching, and she gets a letter. And the film is over. Let's say it starts at 9:30, it's over at 12:30. And they come to meet Pakya, you know. And Jackie Shroff asks, where is he? I'm cutting to daylight morning, this guy is on a tempo. And this car comes and stops. So I've been traveling 6 hours? To where? I never established the tempo in the film, that he has a vehicle.
And nobody asked.
So it could be a random vehicle, he asks for a lift. You know, people not going to ask, because that is what the speed of a drama, which is what actually Hitchcock meant, where drama begins, logic ends.
Yeah.
You know, but it could have gone wrong also. It didn't go wrong. It's a different matter. Those decisions I take all the time, even in my hit films and flop films also. So when somebody says in the course of the discussion, this is not good, this is not working, this will make the film fail, many times I don't listen, even in films like Satya also, for example. You know? So, but that is not the point. Those happen all the time. So, introspecting doesn't make any sense. For example, if a director has made 4 films or 3 or 4 films back in a row, that it doesn't mean that he doesn't. But that nothing will come out of that, because again you have to take a fresh decision on the next film. It might, as when you're having a vodka or a coffee, you might just think and talk to a person close. But the next decision, again, it is the same thing. You'll have to go by your conviction. What I mentioned in the tweet is not that. Don't talk to anybody, don't listen to anyone. You yourself look at your films or someone else's films. Back to back, if what you think is the most fantastic films you saw, and you measure what you're planning to do now with that, I think that can be a really strong, wake up call. That's what I'm thinking.
What does Ram Gopal Varma think about his work in the, let's say, the past decade?
See, in the past decade, first of all, I don't even remember. Nothing.
Because you said that every project you jump into with the same kind of excitement.
in the making.
In the making, yeah. So,
and I forget about it once.
So, has there been any high point at all?
I think maybe not 10 years. I think the last good film I made, I feel, is Rakta Charitra.
Yeah.
Yeah. That must be 2012, I think.
Yeah. That was an intense film.
Yeah, it's okay.
What makes you say it's good?
I mean, I think it was the violence and the kind of people who I tried to capture. It was quite true to the extent. I wouldn't say it's a great film, but it's okay. I mean, that's probably is a better of the films I made in the last 10 years. Yeah.
Do you have a count of how many films you've directed?
No. Like I said, it just comes out from me.
Do you think about your legacy at all?
No, I don't care.
You don't give.
No, not at all.
You
I just care about what I am feeling at any given moment, and 1 second after I die, if the whole world disappears, also I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think the reason so many people connected with your tweet is because of this one passage. I truly mean this as a wake-up call to every filmmaker who gets carried away in self-indulgence due to his own state of mind at any given moment without measuring it against the standards set either by themselves or others. Do you think every filmmaker, there is a streak of self-indulgence?
I'm 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not possible for you not to get there. I mean, the more successful you are, the more chances you will get there.
Okay. What is? Do you mind if I take the name of a recent film, for example?
Yeah, sure.
Let's take any recent film. Name a recent film.
But you know, I don't know what it is.
Take any recent hit or whatever it is. It's like a.
I mean, me talking about some film or whatever.
No, for example, okay, since you're saying this, let's take Pushpa 2, right? What is the self-indulgence aspect there?
But I can't say, is it the Pushpa 2, where they were...
Do you want to talk about some other movie?
No, it was a highly successful film, no? Then where's the question of self-indulgence? It worked.
So, but then you're saying that every filmmaker has that streak of self-indulgence, right? That's what I'm asking to see
that's
what
I'm
it
saying. See, the point is here, there's one thing, every film has a value in terms of if the cost is more than the value or less than the value is one more thing.
Are you talking about the business aspect of it?
And the making cost,
Okay.
for example.
Okay.
You know, in the Sankranti things. Now, Game Changer was the most expensive film. Daku Maharaj was next, and Sankranti was the least expensive. You know, and this became the biggest hit, and that middle, and that's something. You know, but when the director is making the film, he is targeting. He believes the film will be a biggest hit. Otherwise, he won't make it. Especially those range of makers.
That's what you call self-indulgence.
No, that I don't call it self-indulgence because that is something they are believing in the film.
Right.
So if Rajmouli set a benchmark, if a good film can do 1,500 crores, 2,000 crores, then obviously when they think, they believe it will reach that point, to spend 500 doesn't seem like money. No, that is where the thought comes from in terms of that. You know, whether you require to do that, that's a completely separate chapter altogether.
But
you know,
I thought the self-indulgence you were referring to was an artistic self-indulgence.
Yeah. See, artistic self-indulgence, I don't see. For example, the height of self-indulgence, in one way, I see Sandeep Anga, because he doesn't care about conventional standards. He will do what it is, and that I call conviction.
Okay.
That is not self-indulgence. Self-indulgence only will come when there is a massive disconnect between what the maker wanted to do and what the audience was expecting him to do.
Okay.
That is what comes from. This is about conviction. You know. And I feel one more thing which goes wrong is like I told you about ARG, you know, what went wrong in my primary decisions or why I took the decision to make the film. Similar example I would give in Game Changer, for example. You know, see, now Shankar is always known for making massive budget films and these wide shots of thousands of crowds and all that. You know, I felt one of the primary things for Game Changer going wrong. If there is an idea, always a film starts from an idea. To name a few, for example, you take something like a Model One, just one day Chief Minister is a big idea. You know, that itself, it immediately catches your attention, and after that the scene, songs, blah 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 blah, all of that together make the experience. And Robo is another thing, like a love story between a machine and a human being, you know, and that. Game Changer doesn't have a primary idea which will hook you. So because of that, if the seed, whether I take the decision or Shankar or any other filmmaker for that matter, when the seed itself doesn't have the bigness, you know, and then when it is growing, it can any time fall. It won't be in your control because you are measuring it against a seed which itself is flawed in the first place.
Right.
Yeah. So the seed of ARG was bad. That is the point. Seed of Game Changer was bad.
What if somebody tells you that you're dismissing all the films you made after Satya to a large extent, right?
correct.
But what if somebody comes and tells you, like I'm telling you, I really like Not a Love Story. Or somebody else tells you,
Correct.
I really like Rakta Charitra.
Yeah.
Or somebody else tells you, I really like X movie, Y
Yeah,
movie.
correct.
Does that make a difference to you?
No.
Because you don't have a value for those films.
Correct. I'll tell you, it won't make a difference to me for the reason, because see, the film success is on 4 counts. One is what is the cost you spent and what you recovered. What is a film been bought for, what it recovered. What did the critics say, which can be a matter of history. And what are the individuals saying?
What are the individuals?
Individual opinion.
Okay.
Not a love story, what you say is individual opinion.
Yeah.
It doesn't reflect in the box office.
Right.
Did I make it for Baradwaj? No.
No, yeah.
Yeah. Did I make it for any X person? No.
No.
So I made it for the general audience, which failed.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I see it. Yeah. Liking something, even there could be a guy who liked ARG also. There could be a guy who didn't like Sholay also.
Yeah.
So that is not to be taken into consideration. Yeah.
Right. So finally, does Ram Gopal Varma feel that simply by making Satya, he has accomplished something in Indian cinema?
I would believe that.
You would believe
Yeah,
that?
I would believe that. I would believe that because I truly think, though my mates say it myself, I am not even hiding it. I think that's the best film made in India. I believe that. Yeah.
That's a big statement, Ramu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't make it. That's the point. Yeah, that's the point. Which is the reason I'm able to say it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Satya is the best film made in India.
Yeah.
Ever made.
Yeah.
Nice. So.
Because no film moved me like that when I saw it recently. Yeah.
So here's to this next project that you're going to do,
Yeah.
which is going to be with Satya in your mind and using that as a benchmark and leaving aside all your arrogance and your self, whatever
Yeah.
it is. And I'm really looking forward to that film. So thank you.
Yeah, only time will tell how much of this tweet translated into real-time application.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But time's a good thing. So.
But the fact, like I also mentioned somewhere in that, not having an intention to do that, I think is a much bigger crime.
But I also wonder if there could be a pressure there, because now you're saying that.
See, no, I am not trying to be in a race of maybe dikhata hu. I am not in that. No, not the pressure. I believe I'm extremely knowledgeable. I understand cinema probably more than anyone else, and I can create a story and characters probably more than anyone else. I believe that. Genuinely, I believe that. I never applied it, you know, for all what we talked about. I want to do that, you know, and will that become the biggest film? No, that is, I am not saying that. I want to make the biggest film, I am saying.
Right.
That is just an intention.
Right.
Intention doesn't necessarily translate into reality.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if I put that as a benchmark, even if I reach half, 1/4, 1/10, also it's good enough because I am doing it consciously. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Ramu.
Yeah. Thanks.
Nature's comfort. Ramraj presents bamboo cotton white shirts.
Your dream plot awaits for you at OMR, ECR, and GST with Nama Family Group.
South India's #1 travel brand. You know you are special when you're with GT Holidays.